Hello and welcome to Rolling with the Punches. Today is the 28th of February and we're covering last night's UFC in Vegas 20 card, Rozenstruik versus Gane. I'm Bez.
I'm Quinn.
Without further ado, we'll get into it. Be a little bit of a shorter one this week because we're pretty much just going to be running down through the main card.
Yeah.
There's a couple of talking points that have come out of it. So, again, if you don't like spoilers, get off our post-fight show and come back when you watch the card. Rozenstruik versus Gane. Cyril Gane picking up the win there against Rozenstruik. Decision win, but very clear cut.
Very clear cut.
I mean, three judges gave all 5 rounds to Cyril Gane.
Yeah.
What did you think of the fight?
Absolutely. I mean, as far as the first 2 rounds were clearly his dominating wins.
He looks a lot more active in the first round or two, I think.
Yeah, clearly. And then the last 3 were just him just teasing him, just getting the points.
Yeah.
Easy, nice strikes. Again, we saw like his left in the third round. That was such a beautiful straight shot to the face. He was so accurate with what he was doing, feinting all the time. I would have liked to have seen a bit more aggressive, really.
I think for me, it looked like he got to the third round. Thought, I've got these 3 in the bag now. I think I can coast and let Rozenstruik come at me, and that seemed to be pretty much how it played out. Rozenstruik just never really did. He had a couple of flurries throughout the fight. And he has got power in his hands. I mean, I think he's won a lot of his fights by stoppage. I mean, I said yesterday I'd like him to be more active, and this is the reason why. Because he came in on a 3-fight win streak into the UFC. 3 very quick stoppages, and then it fell apart against Gane. Obviously, he's rebounded since with a win against Junior Dos Santos. But that inactivity that nearly cost him against Overeem has come to haunt him tonight. But I mean, honestly, Gane just looked like a more well-rounded fighter. Someone in his 8th pro fight
on form.
Was very impressive. When he mixed it up, he had takedowns. His
movement was incredible.
A couple of submission
his cardio is on form. Is so on form.
Well, I mean, I think it looked a lot better because it was never really. You didn't have to get particularly out of 2nd or 3rd gear.
Yeah.
Rozenstruik threw a lot of feints, but not a lot else. And Gane was able to just kind of sit back, pick him apart from range, and just rely mostly on body kicks, working the clinch.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rozenstruik didn't really have anything for him. It was strange. But I think for me, it's going to launch him right back up into that title picture.
Yeah.
Cyril Gane, or right into the title picture, I should say. We've got Ngannou and Stipe rematching next month. We'll be covering that. Jones has been, I think, guaranteed the title shot after that.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough when he's held a belt for the last 10 years.
Which means, really, we want our next number 1 contender, which we know is...
Yeah, and these last 2 weekends have cleared it up. And Curtis Blades losing to Derek Lewis in disastrous fashion last week.
I want to see that fight.
Propelled Derek Lewis forward for, I think, the next in line against potentially now Cyril Gane.
Cyril Gane, Derek Lewis would be the incredible matchup for the heavyweight.
And actually, I think Blades and Rozenstruik would be a decent fight as well. So
we've seen Gane can go the distance. He can go 5 rounds happily.
That was what I was looking for him out of him this week. Because, I mean, we've seen Gane look impressive before in the UFC, but he's never shown the ability to go for a full 5 rounds. Actually, I thought he'd be pushed a bit more than he did. But no, I mean, I can't really got a lot to fault him on in that fight. I know Michael Bisping on the broadcast was quite vocal about how he should have been looking for the finish. Don't really think he needs to.
Yeah, why does he need to finish? He didn't sustain it.
No
he walked out of that ring clean. He was fine. Why go for the risk?
No, I'm normally first person to start chastising a fighter for not seeking a finish when they could have. But I think against a striker like Rozenstruik's perfect game plan. Force him to come to you. Rozenstruik clearly doesn't particularly like leading. I don't know why. As I say, he's got all the power in the world, but for whatever reason, he's just not been able to put it together against sort of the very top end of the division. So back to the drawing board for him, I think.
Yeah.
Co-main event.
Magamet,
Enclave defeating Nikita Krilloff by decision. This one was a bit closer. I mean, I could potentially even see ways of scoring it for Krilloff. I think the first round was probably easily Krilloff's round. Third round was Enclave's. And I think potentially the second round, I scored it for Enclave, but I could have seen it go either way. It was quite a low action round. I think out of the 2 of them, Enclave just looking like the more well-rounded fighter. He seemed to look a bit stronger in the clinch.
Yeah, no, completely. Ground game was also on point.
Yeah. It was more of a workman-like victory. It wasn't the flashiest performance we've seen from him. And there's 2 battles with Krilloff who wants to go back and watch. I think there's only a collective about 5 minutes of fighting in all of it. But didn't want to miss a second of it. But I mean, this is one of those performances you kind of have to have, and you tend to find it as soon as you can't climb in the ranks.
Yeah.
You're not going to knock everyone out in 30 seconds. So.
No, I mean, I say this about the whole card. Like, I think every single matchup was someone at the same level fighting against each other to really see who is better. I think it was very, very good matchmaking.
It did feel to me a lot like that, where the UFC are trying to set people up for kind of getting higher into the division, and for the most part, it worked out for them. I mean, there wasn't really a lot more to say about the Enclave and Krilloff fight. But in a similar way, other than Enclave is now, I think, probably looking at a fight at the top, maybe 6 or 7 in the division. I'd like to see him maybe matched up against the Volkan Ozdemir. I don't think he's had a fight book since his loss to Jiri Prochaska. Again, another former title challenger. Yeah. So I think if he can get past Ozdemir, then maybe Ankalaev could find himself up at the top end of the light heavyweight division fairly soon. Good time to do it. Again, John Jones has just moved up, so
why not?
Better time as any to try and get.
He's got a lot to go through to get there, though.
And in a similar way, Maria Bueno Silva actually drawing with Montana,
which is such a shame, because that was actually, I personally think, the most enjoyable fight of the night. That
was a great fight,
really good fight,
very bloody fight. And ended up being a draw because Bueno Silva was docked at point for fence grabbing. Quite a blatant one. Actually, I think more referees should take the action that was taken.
We saw it actually during one of the next fight. Who was it?
Ankalaev and Krilloff. I think Ankalaev managed to avoid a takedown by grabbing the fence
twice.
Sadly, not the same referee.
He did that twice. And I mean, don't get me wrong, she would have been on her ass, absolutely, and that was very right for the ref to stop that completely. Yeah. But if you're going to call this stuff at that time and not call it in another fight, it's what we do.
Refereeing across MMA is always notoriously inconsistent, though. And I mean, in the same way, isn't a lot of sports a foul that one referee might not give in soccer is the same as one referee might give. It happens. The rules are slightly open to interpretation, but I think with those fence grabs, you're right. Both of them were fairly blatant, and both of them should have been called out.
But back to Bueno Silva.
Bueno Silva's was
apart from the fence grab, that was her fight.
Yeah. I mean, that was the way it ended up being scored, and there was a majority draw. So across the board, Bueno Silva, I think, still won on one judge's scorecard. Drew on the other two. So she would have won the fight were it not for that point being deducted from her. She's probably kicking herself against.
Yeah.
Seemed like she was calling for a rematch at the end of the fight, but I think that would be a waste of everyone's time.
She clearly won that. Can we just talk about her clinch work? You see a lot of people.
That side clinch is brutal.
Those elbows, short, swift.
I think that was the key to her winning in this fight. Yeah. Montana had to come in for takedowns and get near her. Well, put yourself in range of getting tied up by the clinch. And that's played itself out over and over again. And with the state of her afterwards, she took a hell of damage in that fight. So I think Bueno Silva will be back in the cage before De La Rosa is.
I would think so.
I'd leave that fight for now. Maybe set up a rematch at some point in the future if De La Rosa starts climbing the ranks again.
Yeah, but I can't wait to see who she gets paired up with next.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's you're fighting for the opportunity to fight Shevchenko, which is it's not the easiest fight in the world, but someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, she did kind of what she has to do. I mean, a draw is not the same as a win in terms of what it should do for your ranking spot, but everyone saw the fight and everyone knows who really should have won. I don't think that one takedown that was denied really would have made that much difference. So for me, I think move on from it. Don't get the rematch.
No. But there was a clear winner, even if it was a draw.
Yeah. Put it like that.
Yeah,
I agree.
If you haven't seen it yet, once you see it, you'll know.
Yeah. Next up was a rematch, 6 years in the making.
Yes.
Jimmy Rivera versus Pedro Munoz. Pedro Munoz this time winning by decision. Not quite as close as the last. I mean, it was still a close match.
Calf kicks upon calf kicks.
Yeah, I believe the last time they fought was a split decision in favour of Rivera. This time it was a unanimous decision in favour of Munoz. I mean, it was competitive throughout. But those calf kicks were the real game changer.
Yeah.
Jimmy Rivera looked like he was struggling to walk at the end of the fight. But it does put them 1-1 in their series. So
I'm looking forward to a trilogy fight. It was a good fight to watch, regardless.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think Munoz should probably try and move or look a bit higher than a rematch with Jimmy Rivera straight away. Don't think Jose Aldo's been booked again. A win against the former champion could put him back in the title picture. You also got TJ Dillashaw coming back. Not been matched up with anyone. Another interesting fight there potentially. But yeah, it was a real fun fight. The heat those guys are singing. Jimmy Rivera looked like he was trying to punch bricks out of walls from round one. But yeah, he just couldn't keep it up over the 15 minutes after taking that much damage to the legs. It was not happening for him. But yeah, certainly one I'd like to see again over time, just not right away. Again, I think the best thing for both fighters would be to move on. Yeah. Jimmy Rivera, after coming into the UFC with I think a 21-1 record, is now lost. I think 3 out of his last 5 fights. So he could probably do with taking a step down slightly. But again, he's nice, not like he's old and over the hill. I still think he could potentially make a rubber run. And he has been competitive in most of these losses, or at least known where he's gone wrong.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to be the type of fighter who's kind of blabbering straight on with what he was doing. He still looks like a good technical boxer, but he is kind of filling out his game as well. So be interested to see them both come back. But I think Munoz, for him, if he plays his cards right, I think 2 or 3 fights he could be looking at a title shot.
Yeah, I agree.
That brings us to the last fight on the card.
One we were looking forward to the most.
Yeah,
but
let me down slightly this one.
Yeah.
Alex Caceres defeating Kevin Croom by decision. I mean, what do you want to say about that fight? I mean,
what can you say? I mean, it wasn't what I expected it to be.
I think, if anything, it's highlighted that Caceres' ground game has improved a bit.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, Kevin Croom kind of blew his chance a little bit here. Caceres is not a big name, but he's been around the UFC for a long time. It's been 6 or 7 years, I think. And he is beatable. And Caceres has lost kind of 12 fights along the way, which...
It was Croom's attitude
a lot
straight
of the time
after
he
the
thinks
first round, though,
because he should be winning. But for me, Croom, he just blew his gas tank straight away.
Yeah,
he
we
came
saw
into the cage
that.
shouting and screaming and jumping around, and then 7 or 8 minutes into the fight, he just looked knackered. It didn't look like he had any plan B, which is disappointing. Because again, he's another guy who's got power in his hands.
No, he landed some great shots in the first round, and then as soon as that bell went, he was just a different person on round 2. He just did not know what he was doing.
For me, I'm almost disappointed with Caceres. I know he ended up winning the fight. It looked like he could have done it a lot quicker. There was some terrible advice given to Cream by his corner in between the second and third rounds to go to the stand-up and see what happens there. He tried it, and about 30 seconds later, it was revealed why he hadn't been standing up. He got nearly dropped 3 times, and every time he was getting touched, it was stinging him. His defence looked terrible.
Yeah,
probably a symptom of a lack of energy as much as anything else.
No, that was a game. It was a definitive winner.
Plan B, and I think Caceres, if he'd just taken the fight to the feet in the first place and not gone down onto the mat and into Kevin Croom's world, which he is capable of doing. I've seen him do it before against the decorated black belts. If he wants to stand up, he can do so. So,
it was a unanimous decision, and that was the right call.
Caceres played it very safe, and I don't think he really needed to against someone of Kevin Croom's calibre, but it is what it is. A win's a win. I think I put this on a 5-fight win streak, so you should be looking up probably towards getting a ranked fight in the featherweight division next. Maybe even getting a number next to a name himself. I mean, that featherweight division is stacked, so he might need another win before that.
I would say so. There's some big names in the end.
Yeah. I mean, if he's going to make a run at the title, he needs to hurry up and do it. I think he's 32, 33 now. He's not getting any younger for a featherweight. That's kind of very much the twilight years of his career anyway. But he's a fun fighter to watch generally. Yeah. Certainly be sort of.
I enjoyed it regardless. I enjoyed the fight. It was a good card. It was a good card. Lots of decisions. I mean, and that's not a bad thing.
No, I mean, the fights themselves were great. There was no wild finishes. No one was landing any spinning back kicks, only knockouts of the year. But like I said, it was interesting. It was a good card to watch. But next keep you entertained. But next week is the big one. Next week is UFC. Well, next month in general, actually. Next month there are 5 title fights. I don't think a champ lost their belt last year, so we want to see if that can change. I suspect it might in a couple of them.
Yeah.
And next week is headlined by Israel Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz, middleweight champion, moving up to light heavyweight for his shot.
Yes.
Nunes defending a featherweight title against Megan Anderson.
I think we already can call that fight right now, but
well, maybe not. You never know. It's MMA. Anything can happen. And Petr is defending his belt for the first time, his bantamweight title against Aljamain Sterling, who I've wanted to see get a title shot for a while. So that'll be another interesting fight.
4 champions, 3 title fights,
one
night.
Should be a wild night. Even the prelims look sick on that card as well. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
We will be covering all of it.
Hi.
So make sure you tune in.
We'll be back next Saturday.
Oh yes.
From me.
From me.
See you then, guys.